All right. I am on the phone, or actually on the Facebook Messenger phone, with one of my local heroes who I met by kind of coincidence via social media. And his name is Eli Richey, and I met him by just watching social media, and some of your material came through. You were doing what was called tactical ticket checkers videos of transit police, and that's where I got somewhat fascinated with you and started watching you fearlessly taking on the police, and kind of formed an odd bond with you in some way. And I'm glad to have you to talk to here. And I'm just interested. When did you get on this mission of yours to challenge the police state like you do? When did it start? How long have you been doing this?
It was the first time I saw armed, uniformed officers checking tickets on the train.
Really? Is that actually what started you on this
Yeah,
police quest? It really?
yeah, it really was. I was riding my bike back then, and I was actually finishing up a ride. I was coming from the Columbia River. I had just gotten up to the top of the hill into the Gateway area. And at the top of the hill there is a good place to rest. And I looked over and I saw this group of guys, and they're all about my size, and I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'5", and they were all my size, and they all were wearing tack vests and uniforms. And I thought that there was something going on at the train station, and the train came in, people got off the train, and they simply just started asking to see their fares. And I was dumbfounded to see that. But what really caught me was when they caught some fare violators and took them back to the back of the parking lot, put them in the back of a police car, and basically went into them. And it was like a scene from the 1990s Scared Straight movie. These officers basically threatening to make this kid disappear if he wanted to back talk, and it all was sparked over not having their a ticket. And I saw them, and I said something, and that's what started my relationship, filming the police.
It's been quite an adventure. I have my own theory about the fare evasion. I really do believe, and you can tell me whether you agree with this or not. I do believe that it is a kind of a gill net operation. It's a intentionally set up. The system is set up open like it is because it's kind of an entrapment method. Okay, anybody can walk on, and then boom, the police state can pounce at any minute and entrap citizens. Do you think I'm crazy, or do you think there's some? You think I'm?
Recently, I just actually started seeing that. I don't know. When they first designed it, I think it was just to be public friendly. Without, Portland's strange, and I don't really understand it. Um, but yeah, fare evasion was a big time thing. I rode the first train as a kid, and just being a Portland native, I'll be honest. For years as a teenager, I never paid for the max ever.
Yeah.
I just never. You just know you don't. You just walk on and you just get on. And it wasn't until recently that I noticed there kind of there was this kind of open incentive, this invitation to ride the train and get caught. I don't know. It's really strange. I just started thinking about it recently, but how much it's got to be costing the city tons and tons of money. I have no idea how much, but they're paying for security. But to be getting it back, and they're not really doing a good job of collecting fares, in my opinion. I don't do that anymore. I'm actually I always have valid fare today.
Yeah.
So nobody has to worry about that. But,
Yeah. Well, you know as well as I do that the people that are getting caught up in these fare evasions are from the low socioeconomic class. The people that are
yeah, yeah.
there's no doubt about that, and it's
No, that is
interesting.
true.
It's interesting to me. There's never been a study about that. They talk about this in the media all the time. They're losing millions of dollars thanks to rampant fare evasion, but they never go into the causes of fare evasion and who's doing it. And
And that's really sick, Al. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, they're just doing a terrible job at it. That's total killing a slow boil frog style. They should, they
yeah,
should just fucking take it out.
I think you're probably right now that I think about it that Portland did start with this idea that it's going to be all open and friendly. They wanted to be Amsterdam. And then as time went on and as the American police state started becoming more of a reality, it kind of morphed into this entrapment method. I think you're probably right that it wasn't created. Of course, I'm more or less a conspiracy theorist. I see people manipulating other people constantly, and I see that the people that have the power do everything they can to manipulate the thoughts and the ideas of the people without the power, and
That's insane.
and that's why when I see somebody like you out there all alone, a lone wolf more or less, taking on these forces, it's just like wow, man. And the whole thing with Outlaw was just outrageous. I can't believe they did that to
I
you.
was really looking forward to some change in Portland policing.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
no.
but the reality of it is that there's three types of cops, not two. There's bad cops, and then the good cops that nobody gets to know because they're the ones that report when they get back to the station. They report what happened, and then they get reassigned. They're known as a stitch. They get isolated. They end up quitting. They end up doing something else. The cops that we all identify as the good cop that's out there is the cop that doesn't say anything, and that's what from what I understand, any officer that's been around any kind of corruption for a really long time, they've got that job because they're really good at not saying anything.
Hmm.
They're good at just doing their job, and I think that's horrible. The people that I know that go into policing want to help the world. They don't want to look at it as just a job, and when it just becomes a job, and policing and morality behind it and all that, really you just start weeding everybody out, and all you're left with is these sociopaths. And
Right. Uh,
the best person I ever met in my life, this is really personal, but he was a police officer. He was going into the academy, and I don't want to get too far into it. I'll tell you this story. Sometimes just the two of us, but 8 years later, he's an absolute gangster, and you can see that in the Oregonian. In fact, it's been reported.
hmm
So
This
it
is
just eats people up. It
yeah.
eats people up, and like you said, there's people out there that are looking to manipulate other people, and it's been really, really bad since my experience, 9/11. But going back even further, looking at what was leading up to 9/11, seeing what was the corporate state versus the citizen and the people, um, Vietnam, Waco. It's 25 years this year.
Really.
I've been looking back at that. I was just a kid,
I
and I
remember
was
that
going
Waco.
through.
I remember being appalled when I was watching it. I was like, "What in the hell are they doing?" It's like
It was
that was Bill
the
Clinton.
government going after and Janet Reno,
Right. That's
and
right.
yeah, and the change, man, and how like this, for example, this last week's Women's March, International Women's March. It was interesting enough because I heard that it was actually first coined as the International Working Women's March, and now they've just got rid of the Working Women's, And I remember we used to talk about economics and stuff like that. And I'd like to know more about economics, except for that, as the more I get to know about it, the more aware that I become that it just seems to be this one big magic thing that we all kind of agree on, or certain people at the top kind of agree on. I guess there's gold. I don't know where it is.
No, there's nothing there. It's fiat. There's nothing there. The entire monetary system is an illusion. They print money. They just print it on a printing press. The whole thing works because everybody believes it. Okay, but
I have
it's
so much faith in what we could possibly be, and knowing that and I'm just so pissed off that it's all going to the military. It seems like it's all going to
oh yeah, most of it.
bug out shelters that are being built under the ground, by billionaires. It's going, it's really wild. Whatever happened in the 1960s and 70s, space technology, civil rights, the corporate person. I have, I don't know.
Well, I'm 64 now, so I've seen the whole progression from the 60s where things were really free and a slow dwindling of rights of the citizen to where we are now. And the fact that there's so many people that are homeless just lying in the streets, and meanwhile they're bombing other countries with our tax dollars. It's a dystopia. It's dystopia.
And it's an illusion. And it's an illusion. Those tax dollars are an illusion.
Well, they're financing things. The whole economic system is an illusion. But as long as everybody buys into it, it works. It's just like anything else. If people believe it,
we need people to, and it's so insane because we have these political class, and they're engineers, social engineers,
yes.
that are engineering people to be murderers, socially aggressive, to kill for this. It's the most sickest and scariest thing in the world to see how a soldier, and I love people so much, and and at the same time I'm so afraid of them. I don't know why I do this, Al. I don't know why I do it. I put myself in the crazy situations, and I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just that I feel like it's what you do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could,
It makes me
why
cringe
else
watching you
not?
sometimes. It makes me cringe
Well,
watching.
and I know, I know. I've
I'm probably your number one fan. You probably know that.
I don't know how to explain it, except for that I'm very emotional, and I've had a relationship with these guys. I filmed them for 2 years before going public,
Uh-huh.
and we got just so comfortable with each other that you see how it is today. Now we have, they'll literally, make fun of the fact that they broke my arm, and on video. And they've done a lot of stuff to me, and I can't even start. We can do a timeline if you like.
Yeah, no, they do it because they can. There's nothing. We, the citizens, are not on. There's nothing we can do about these totalitarians. There's nothing. We have nothing. No power against them.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
You don't. Well,
I don't. I'm sorry
what is?
because I really did fail. I failed at something. I'm still working at it, and I hope to pick it back up. But they really did a good number of distracting getting me to the point where I became distracted from what my main agenda was. And my main agenda was identifying those who are in charge, which is the idea behind the Take Me to Your Leader campaign, which is a response to officers telling me, if you want to see change, talk to your policy leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that if you constantly ask that question, take me to your leader, you'll eventually find it. Once you find it, that's what I possibly was not prepared for, and they definitely were not really ready for that either. But we're still working there. We're working at that, and I just want to remind everybody out there that I'm not advocating that we just go to any person's home or we terrorize or harass anybody. But for 20 years, politicians asked me to go to your homes and ask you to vote for them, asked me to bring you their policies, and I did that for them. Now that I'm not working for them, I'm trying to bring our policies to them. And if we only have 3 minutes or
we've got to go by their rules, play by their rules, and their in their city hall or whatever. Then we could take our message to them, to their homes, and let them know that we're paying attention. And I know it might sound crazy, but again, it's a way to get their attention. It's the way that they get our attention every election cycle. And
well, we could vote them out if people would get out of their box thinking here. They could be.
I don't believe in voting.
Yeah,
I believe in making it so uncomfortable to be in office that only the best of us are actually going to make it.
Yeah, the people that the people that seek offices are not really the kind of people.
At this point, no. Unfortunately, they're not.
No, yeah.
And so that's what, and you know, and so I really like the Take Me to Your Leadership campaign, which people kind of understand what that is. We'll work on that. I mean, people are outside of the president's home right now.
Are they?
Protesting. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's very effective. I don't know. It'd be
Yeah,
more effective if people would vote him out, okay? But they can't.
No, but people didn't vote him in. People didn't vote. People were so burned on voting. Voting democracy, the idea of it, I think, is really dead, honestly. And everything that I'm talking about is really probably old school politics. We're really in for a new change. I think they might even just change the whole Constitution and everything in our lifetime. It'll be really insane. Tesla said that we're going to see some amazing stuff too in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I think it's. Well, I hope you're right. I hope it's not negative.
I'm done now with the whole Take Me to Your Leadership campaign. Honestly, personally, I'm not into it, but it is something that I want people to keep in mind on voting it, and at least in the area where I'm at, in my town. You know, I think about local politics. You know, I think about door-to-door canvassing and the national politics. Getting on that level is something else and something that I don't want anything to do with, and something that I don't believe that we can beat.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I don't believe that anymore.
I think you're right.
I gave up working for the billionaires on the left about 5 years ago, and then I saw Bernie Sanders running and a lot of people getting excited, and it looked fun, and I thought I'd get back into it for a little bit, and here I am, and I don't know what to do with it except for I know that the city of Portland owes me an apology.
Yeah, which you're not going to get, but yeah.
We're working towards that, brother. We're working towards that. They're gonna apologize either in this lifetime or another lifetime. All right, because you just don't get away with doing this stuff. And matter of fact, the reason why they're gonna do it is because I actually like them. I actually like Ted Wheeler.
Do you?
All right, I actually like him. I think he's a fucking idiot, but I think I like him. All right, and you know, Amanda Fritz for years. You know, she was, you know, we've seen each other in passing, and she was my campaign finance reform candidate. You know, and I like her. You know, Nick Fish, I don't appreciate. Dan Saltzman, he's leaving, and Chloe Eudaly has definitely shown herself to be a tyrant and contemptuous with power, and I don't dig her too much. But I do like Ted Wheeler. I do like him. I mean, the fact that he went out to meet with protesters and whatnot, I mean, that showed a lot of class, in my opinion.
All right.
I just think that he hasn't had the right advisors yet.
Well, he's a plutocrat. Let's be honest. He comes from a plutocratic family. Another millionaire, you know, another bored millionaire that has nothing better to do.
But I think today, with the way he is, I mean, I just, from what I see someone who's really trying to step away from that, and I think he should embrace the fact that that's where he comes from. He could do a lot more. But again, it comes with advisors, and he's dealing with his own growth thing. You know, he's growing. The other day, I saw Nick Fish literally giving him a pep talk in the face of Joey Gibson there to give testimony. It was scary, and it was sad. It was like the high school coach, you know, talking to the high school football, you know, the mediocre football, you know, quarterback or whatever, you know. I like Ted Wheeler.
Well, I thought highly of him until he got in office, and and he's just.
I didn't know him before. I didn't know him.
Well,
Before
he's been around for a while. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know any of these people personally, but I followed somewhat of their career. I mean, I concentrate on public transportation, but you're exposed to some of these other people no matter what. You know, you can't avoid it
I'm
really.
listening.
Um,
Especially at the county.
yeah,
TriMet, yeah.
yeah. Well, TriMet's kind of this agency that's been created that's not accountable. I mean, at least Wheeler can be voted in or out, but TriMet, on the other hand, you don't get a vote on these people. You know,
That's really wild, yeah.
yeah, they're in charge, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's one of the most insidious forms of government is that kind of government where it's appointed board from a governor who's not even in the city, and they have no accountability to the citizens at all. But they have this huge propaganda department which they're able to spit out, thousands of pages of propaganda that's self-serving.
Is that bureaucracy? Can we consider it bureaucracy?
Yeah, our technocracy is what I call it. They're careerists and they're technocrats. They don't live amongst us. They're in a different class of people, and they associate with each other. They don't associate with actual people, and their vision becomes very tunnel vision. They can't really understand how the rest of us think because they're making six-figure salaries. They're walking around in suits, and they associating with each other daily, and they're traveling around and blah 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 blah. And those are the people that are running all of the show, at least in public transportation. Uh, None of the districts in most places in the country are accountable. They're all set up, so they're not accountable. I never did really understand reason for that other than to make sure the tax funds are funneled to the places they're supposed to be funneled to. I'm not a government supporter, let's put it that way.
See, I'm interested in the transit police and how they're able to, like the other day, I had, some video of some Beaverton and Hillsborough officers enforcing law in Portland. You see that always now with the transit police, and I know they argue that it's a metro thing, but I've never seen, the kind of checkpoints they have, like, in outside of Portland. I'd seen one. They were on one detail at the Rose Quarter. There was about 11 different officers, and they were representing maybe 6 different agencies, and not one of them were from Portland.
Yeah.
And they were all checking tickets and enforcing laws in Portland at the Rose Quarter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's because TriMet is its own property, TriMet's separate property from Portland property.
Well, the thing is that transit police, they respond to incidences off TriMet property all the time.
Yeah. Well, don't cops all do that anyway, don't they?
Yeah, but don't they all have jurisdiction, though?
Supposedly, but I mean, they'll respond. I mean,
now that I think about it, Oregon allows all officers to be, any sworn officer to be able to enforce the law anywhere in the state, but they're supposed to refer to the local jurisdiction if possible. So, it's whatever. Yeah, it's not that I'm a big issue. Government, I believe that we are government, and that's the thing that's scary the most. That's the thing that scares the shit out of me, is like whenever it gets to the point where it's almost detaching, and, you come to this point, you're like, the whole system, you recognize your role in it. And I'm still at the solution base. I'm still trying to figure, like, there's got to be something that I can do, and if anything, it's just try to be positive shit. I mean, at the very least,
yeah.
In those darkest times, man. So,
all right. Well,
I don't really have very much hope for just keep doing what I'm trying to do, and if that's the right thing, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a religious person, Al. I really do look at, and I've got so many people who've died, like the people I look up to, they've all died fighting for something they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, like I don't feel like I'd live if I didn't die fighting for something I believe in. And the idea of living a long life where that doesn't happen doesn't sound fucking possible.
Yeah.
Even though I have all these people around me constantly saying, who seem to know a little bit more than I do, that are constantly telling me, no, that's going to be the way it is, Eli. You're going to live a long life and you die of old age. It's the way it is. All right, we'll see. I'm still here, man.
Yeah.
And they've tried to do some really crazy things to me, Al. They've taken my blood, not submitted it into evidence. At the same time, they had booked a man into custody under my name that had a violent history. They were planting news reports about me, and I had to discover all of that on my own and make that public in order to protect myself. And I think that's the one reason why, I'm not in federal prison for like conspiracy charges or something.
Yeah, well, give them a little more time,
Calm down.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted you to step back a little bit, and let them kind of not think about you for a while. And, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, You know what I mean? You're just a little bit too high profile right now. It's not good, man, because you're in the face of the police state. You're in the most dangerous position an activist can be in. You're right on the razor blade edge of the whole thing there. And that's very scary for somebody like me who I understand how things work. And they don't work for your benefit, okay? You don't have the profile. You have a big profile, but it's not big enough. Let me put it to you that way, okay? It's not big enough to protect you. And that's the thing that I worry about with you, is that one of these days they'll just figure out something, and boom. And once they got you, you can't get out if they figure out the right way to get you. You know what I mean? Even if it's contrived and phony, it doesn't matter to them.
They got me over the summer. I mean, I had to plea, otherwise.
Oh, is that when they hauled you away from? When they picked
$250,000 bail.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, right. That was just unbelievable.
On 3 misdemeanors, first time ever charged with, old wiretap law.
Yeah, which is bogus.
9 days on the GPS unit. They had, arrested multiple times, confiscated all my property, including a camera that had no SD card and battery that I was specifically carrying just to prove the point that they will, take everything I have. And it got to the point where I was 6 days away from going to trial, and I was in a competency hearing with my lawyer, and the DA came up at the same time, and kind of like a courtroom theater, we all started conversating, and I gave them exactly what they wanted, and exactly what they wanted to show them that I was not a crazy person. What they wanted was 4 of the 7 stipulations to refer to the district attorney himself specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically, hey, listen, I'll explain it all later, but, I'm not a dangerous person. And matter of fact, I kind of like the idea of not being able to be within 250 feet of any of your guys' homes, because that helps to take the weight off of my shoulder too. I had officers, just rank and file officers, coming up to me and telling me that that I was trespassed from going to their houses, and the whole thing had got blown out of control. And the whole idea was, again, to show that officers, rank and file officers, that shit is rolling downhill. And unfortunately, the leadership was able to get everybody distracted again and take the attention off of them. So, but yeah, so that's what happened. They did get me. I was facing 7. I had 7 different charges. My lawyer was guaranteeing me that if I was found guilty on any of them, everybody in the courthouse was so scared of me that the judge was going to give me the maximum on every single one.
Yep.
And I could have been facing 7 years
in
jail,
and that's
on a bunch of misdemeanor and trumped up charges.
Yeah.
And
that's how they do you. That's how they do it.
Lowest.
Right. That's how they do it. That's why they're so dangerous. That's why these are dangerous people.
They really are. But at the same time, yeah, I don't want to test that theory. I know they're killing people in other countries and whatnot.
Yeah, don't test it. Right. All right. Well, I want to wrap it up. I want to thank you for letting me have this little interview with you. I've been wanting to.
Next time, hopefully we'll get ready.
What's that?
Maybe next time we'll be able to prep for it a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just going to add. I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'm just going to use a little bit of it, or maybe I don't know. I'll work on it, but it will just. I just like to collect this stuff on my blog, and you're one of the characters I actually have some respect for. Not too many people out here.
Thank you, Al. Thank you for. You're a gangster activist from what I see. I love watching your commentary on just everything that I watch, that I see.
Well, I appreciate that. I think I have some view. It's not a good view, but people need to. I just want people to wake up a little bit. Just wake up. We might not be able to change anything, but at least understand what's going on. Okay, at least understand.
Well, why do you do what you want to do? I mean, you seem like such so apathetic, but I mean, I know you put in so much work behind it. You're really passionate.
Well, the whole transit thing, I really am a transit geek. People don't believe me when I say that, but some of my good friends are transit geeks, and I just enjoy the topic. My time at TriMet kind of morphed from a job into a hobby. And when the job ended, the hobby kept going. That's all, and that's all it really is. It's just a hobby. I enjoy the topic. Nobody pays attention to public transportation issues. It's kind of It's not known. It's kind of a hidden world in many ways, because people don't really talk about the issues that are involved with this, and the brutality of the public transportation system itself, what it does to people that are employed in it, what it does to riders. It really is a brutal system, and people don't really get that. They don't get that. They can't.
You have a bunch of aristocrats at the top.
Yeah, exactly.
From it.
Yeah, there's a whole royalty there. Meanwhile, the buses are breaking down. People are stranded. The drivers are stressed, and you have these kings and queens at the very top, making a fortune. And having a great life. And that bothers me, that bothers me, and so I don't know, that's part of the reason why I do it, I guess. I don't know, I'm just fascinated by it, and I've created some tools in association with other people that have helped me create some of these tools so we can keep an eye on things, and I just enjoy it. I'm stuck here in New England, and it's a great way to pass the time. It's not any different than watching a docudrama on TV or Game of Thrones. It's just a real life. It's like real. The thing with the scanner is it's like reality TV, scanner style.
That's what it's turned into for me. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's really is for me too. Today, it's exciting.
Reality TV. Yeah.
LARPing, live action role playing.
Yeah, right. Let's see what I can do today to piss off a cop. All right.
Something else. I'm not even. You know what? Honestly, I don't even go from that perspective anymore. There was a time that when I first got started, though, that's like my first video you see where there's just like, let's just go take a camera and just go film the police. Today, it's so much more professional. I have such more professional outlook at kind of documenting what's happening.
You're always polite to them, but you're in their face, and that's dangerous. You're always very polite.
I don't want to take shit from them.
Yeah.
They are professional liars.
Yes.
It's based on their policy. There's per their policy that officers cannot challenge the legitimacy or the legality of another officer in the field. We need to change that. We need to allow officers to arrest other officers. We need to get rid of the sociopaths.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
If that's fucking possible, I don't even know, you know what I mean? Because one fucking sociopath can fucking put something in the water or whatever, But,
Yep.
So,
all right.
Man, why the fuck are we here, Al, except for to do what we're doing? So,
you're here to live, and everybody has their own little deal, and you do what you got to do to make life bearable, and that's what you're doing, and that's what I'm doing. And you have some social conscience, which is great, and I appreciate that. People that have social consciences, it's great to see, because, I'd be...
You're reminding me what a fool I am.
Yeah, okay.
There's stuff.
Okay, all right, Eli. Well, I'll let you go. I appreciate you calling, and let me.
Thank you, Al.